I got to play College Football 26 Road to Glory early, so let's talk about it today since they just dropped both a deep dive and a trailer for it. Last year, Road to Glory was a mode I wasn't a huge fan of, and that game mode was how I blew up as a creator, so I'm glad that it's starting to get more attention, but we're also going to have to talk about the parts that you all might not like too. Like always, we're just going to start with the trailer and then go from there. It looks like they're already showcasing
Follow your career from high school recruit all the way to NFL legend.
I'm already pausing it. You all aren't going to be happy about this, but we have to talk about it. So, as you can see right here, if you commit to a specific college, you're going to get to be a part of their runouts. Just like this. Every single school. It's something sick inside Road to Glory. In fact, if I had to go down a list of some of my favorite ads to College Football 26, this is easily in the top 3 for me, especially since I like to transfer and experience so many different atmospheres. Since we've already seen the stuff with presentation as well, whether it's the light shows, the dynamic lighting, the night games, we got the rivalry set up, each of these crowds could look different depending on who you're playing. And each school, at least the bigger one, should have something unique like this. I mean, Florida, it seemed like they had smoke shooting out like that. So, this is something I like. Maybe you're not the biggest fan of it, but I had to talk about it. As we're pausing frame by frame as well, I noticed the flowers for senior night in the high school player's hands. So if you didn't somehow know already, if you live under a rock, high school is coming back to college football. You all are not going to like I rambled that much at the very start of a trailer, but let's get into it.
All the way to NFL legend. With Road to Glory in EA Sports College
Another
Football
run out.
26 and Superstar in Madden NFL 26.
So both of them
First,
are in this.
Create and customize your player and select a position archetype.
Oh boy, there it is. You all see it. It's something that's already been leaked. It's something that's already been talked about. Unfortunately, these are still the only 5 positions that we can use. Listen, I'm right there with you all. I get it. I want to be able to play as a defensive lineman every so often. I want to be able to go out as a tight end. I'm not so sure I want to do a full offensive lineman and kicker playthrough, but if you all want to do that, you should have that option. Even playing as a safety, that option should be there. I'd much rather be a safety than a corner actually, because whenever I'm a corner, I just get burnt off the line. But besides that point, we need to have more positions in Road to Glory, and it's not happening this year. So that was one of the things where I was like, yeah, this is something most people won't like. If that's something you were looking forward to, and then it's not there, you're going to be a little bit more disappointed, even if high school's back.
With completely new options across a variety of positions.
So if you didn't see anything with the Dynasty stuff yet, they have completely overhauled every single archetype in the game. So as you can see, we now have pocket passer quarterbacks, we have dual threats. It's not just stuff like Scrambler. It's completely up to you what archetype you decide to roll with, but whenever I played early, I felt like dual threat quarterback was the best one for my playstyle, so that's something I'd keep an eye out for. I also, before I forget about it, want to mention the runouts just because I know EA threw up a clip of it on Twitter. This is Virginia Tech's runout, so if you committed to Virginia Tech, this is what you would get to experience. And we're just going to sit back, enjoy the 720p quality since it's on Twitter, and this is the runout. So you're able to look around, pan around with the camera, but you can't just like take your player and run into another guy. You can't hit him. You can't look at coach in the eyes. None of that. You're stuck in that specific player. They'll end up cutting around to a few other shots in the stadium, but then you get to run out. You can look around to the whole stadium. You can pan the camera around a lot more than they're doing with this clip right here. And then you get a couple other clips mixed in. You get to continue here, Enter Sandman, and you even get to run over to the fans for a little bit. I just don't understand this clip. I mean, they're not looking up at all, even though you can. We saw that whenever we were down there in the presentation, and they're simply staring at the grass. That one feature is definitely not something that just justifies getting a game in itself, but it is something whenever I've been playing games like 2K in the past where I'm able to run out of the tunnel, where I'm wondering, why can't I ever do that in football games? I always end up getting so excited for new stuff and new games though whenever they come around. I gotta stop yapping. I just gotta chill out for a bit. Let's watch. Let's watch the trailer.
Begin your legacy as a high school recruit. The foundation of your entire career hinges on weekly themes based on your archetype.
So here is where I know I just said I wasn't going to pause much more, but I feel like I need to discuss a lot of this stuff because this is all new. This is high school in this game, and if you played high school in NCAA Football 14, you'd be looking at scenarios very confused because you used to be able to play the entire game. From just talking with some of the devs that worked on this, the idea behind playing scenarios instead of playing your full high school games was making Road to Glory in high school a little bit of a quicker experience. From what you can see right here, you're not going to be playing full games. You can't just hop in to play a high school opponent. No, you're going to have to select 4 moments, 4 drives that you want to take on. It's one of those decisions where they felt like high school might be dragged out too long, so they're testing something new. They're going to see how the community reacts, and I'm hoping if the community doesn't like it, then all of a sudden we have full games. I really don't know how to feel about it, and I played a couple of these high school games. I experienced the moments. The thing that worries me the most is whenever you select these drive goals, some of them can be pretty hard to complete. If you look over here, you're also going to see the schools that are on your board. Some of them are going to care more about whether or not you complete each one of these moments correctly, while other schools, like Tennessee, doesn't care as much if you're able to do this. Based on your success and how you do, your tape score will go up, sometimes 2x for Texas, only 1.1 times for Tennessee, and that's going to affect your star rating, which means you could start your high school playthrough as a 5-star recruit. I don't think I mentioned that. You decide your star rating when you start high school, but if you don't perform well in these moments, you could go from a 5-star all the way to a 2-star. This is actually something that I really appreciate. Even if those goals are hard to achieve, there's like never any punishment for playing bad in most sports games. I would also like to point out that if you played NCAA Football 14 Road to Glory, we know that was the easiest high school Road to Glory experience in the world. It didn't matter what difficulty you were on. So I'm hoping that this one's a lot more challenging, and it was when I played. I ended up throwing 2 picks in my first game and dropped from a 4-star to a 3-star. I know, hard to believe.
Each offering unique gameplay opportunities to impact your tape score and star rating.
That was another thing that just popped out. I feel like there's so much quickly happening with new updates that I want to talk about, more than the other trailers before. Can I at least click on it? So Colorado State has given you a custom challenge for this week. If you decide to opt into that, you're only going to be doing one of your drives trying to boost your game tape score for Colorado State. The way it was explained to me whenever I was down there was there could be some huge bonuses if you can just complete whatever those schools want you to, but if you don't, there's no benefit from doing that drive. I also just know that I'm going to have to pause on so much stuff because only a few minutes of it is actually college. The rest of it's Superstar, and I want to cover all of Road to Glory before we get to Superstar at the end of this video.
Tape score and star rating. For example, a pocket passer quarterback might face a lockdown corner week. Within that week, you'll have the option to choose 4 key moments to play from the game, each centered around the theme to showcase your skills in critical situations.
That's another part of the display I actually didn't like. They just got rival above the head. But if my face cam can be moved for a second, you'll see these drive goals in the top right corner. You have to avoid pass breakups from a rival. That's not too hard. That's the one for 50 points. And then gain passing yards from the pocket. It'll track up here, only getting 30. That doesn't seem too bad to me, but if you run out of the pocket a lot, you're not going to be successful on that drive. You're also seeing a completely different score bug for high school, but the time and the score, none of that really makes much of a difference, to be honest. That's one of my biggest issues with the scenario gameplay. You don't really feel immersed into that high school experience whenever you're just playing scenarios and the score and the outcome of the game doesn't matter. I just found myself more focusing on the drive goals than actually winning or losing.
It's your chance to capture the attention of your favorite college programs and meet their recruiting requirements. Performance-based scholarships will be offered, and in a highly competitive recruiting class, you'll compete against a dynamic pool of others for limited offers.
Oh boy, this hat ceremony is going to be good. They did mention, they gave us a little bit of a teaser. They said you're able to pick up those hats and not always just commit. You can toss them, you can get rid of them. So we're going to have some fun making clips out of that.
The sooner you decide, the better your chances to secure a coveted roster spot before it's gone.
Okay, so Texas has revoked their scholarship offer to you. If you don't lock in a scholarship, you have to be careful week to week. You have a bad week, all of a sudden that scholarship offer you had on the table, you don't lock it in, it could be pulled. I also know that you're able to commit and then decommit multiple times throughout your high school career. Even if it's only 5 games, you can still do it multiple times, so have some fun with that. Some of these team names on the screen might not make too much sense either, but don't worry, at least for the school that you're playing for, you are able to import a team builder team. Here we go though, it's going to bring up another thing on my wish list. It's something that I'm going to want to see in the next game, is being able to import custom team builders for every high school, not just the one that you're using. I don't know, man. There's just something fun about being able to customize your full schedule, put all the high schools that your high school would face off against, and create them a little bit. I just have a feeling that's something they probably wouldn't mention in this trailer, but yes, you can at least use Team Builder to create your high school.
To add depth to every Road to Glory experience, we're introducing Coach Happiness, a new measure of your coach's short-term perception of you as a player. While Coach Trust remains an important part of your long-term development, Coach Happiness...
I'm pausing on this, and you're already like, why? Why are we pausing again? Let's talk. Something they added in last year after it was badly received on launch was the fact that you couldn't audible at all times. You're not going to be able to do that in this Road to Glory either. If you look down here, you're going to see audibles has not been unlocked with 13,000 Coach Trust. You have to earn it over time, just like you have to earn being able to call more plays, extra plays, hot routes, all sorts of stuff. If you don't earn enough coach trust, you can't unlock it. This is something that's a good thing though, because after you earned the starting job last year, there was no reason to go to practice. This time around, you have to keep on going to practice if you want to keep on getting better benefits for being a college QB. It'll also be interesting to see if we can always keep Coach happy. I'm afraid that if we get him to this level, he would most likely bench us.
Offers a more short-term evaluation, impacting your experience week to week, and is influenced by your actions off the field and your performance on it. Speaking of on-field performance, the new per-play grading system, as well as coach happiness, can determine whether you stay in the game or risk being benched or worse, suspended.
Whoa. What did we just say to coach here? And also, this is coming over from 2K, right? I've definitely seen that on 2K before. I also remember it being in Madden the last couple of years whenever I've played Superstar. We got the student newspaper, though, saying, "We just received breaking news. You've been demoted, and you will not be starting moving forward. What is your reaction to this? And do you believe your head coach's decision was warranted?" I don't really care about his opinion. He has never liked me, so I'm getting benched. It's really that simple. That is a crazy thing to say about their coach. And then it looks like there was a whole pop-up on this as well. Come on, give it to me. Major pause on that. Your coaches are unhappy with you. If they now enter a game angry, you'll be benched a quarter. If they finish the week angry, you'll risk being demoted. All right, so I asked a lot of questions about high school, not as many on the college side whenever I was down there, but the fact that you can get benched for just a quarter, I like that immersion. You don't just automatically drop down to quarterback too. That's nice.
So manage your weekly priorities wisely. Focus on grades, team chemistry, and practice time to keep your coach happy and earn.
Oh no, they brought it over. They brought over the career health along with the season health that they put in Dynasty. You cannot run 50 times a game anymore, or else you're going to have awful wear and tear.
Happy and earn more playing time. Collect titles and awards and look back at all the hardware you've earned during your college career in the new trophy room. Win 3 Heismans on your road to glory? Show them off. Maybe you won the Natty or a few. But this time, your story doesn't end with the...
Okay, this time your story doesn't end. It definitely didn't end last year the same way. I don't even know how I forgot to talk about this, but I wasn't pausing whenever I realized it. I let it finish out. As you can see here, this is the same screens that you would see inside Dynasty mode. So they didn't even talk about this in the trailer, which feels like the biggest miss ever, because as your high school year is going on, there's a college season simming in the background like it's a Dynasty. What that means is Ryan Williams isn't going to be a sophomore by the time you get to college. No, he's going to be a junior. There's going to be a whole other season that Alabama's played, so if there's a senior quarterback on a team that you might want to commit to, he's going to graduate. It's also simming all of these teams' recruiting for their recruiting classes. It's simming these teams' records, their schedules. It's the entire sim for Dynasty, which means if these teams have bad seasons, then they're going to have players enter the transfer portal and they might not be there next year. It all functions like teams would inside a Dynasty mode. So I actually really like that addition because you're going to see a lot of movement most likely from the transfer portal too. I am curious though, is there anything else about college in this trailer before we get to the deep dive? And then once I read the college deep dive, we can look at the Madden part. I'll probably play Superstar for a video and that'll be it.
The story doesn't end with the college championship. Continue your football journey, taking it seamlessly to the next level.
The NFL.
Okay, yeah, so it exports over. You can bring it to Madden 26 if you end up getting that game. And then whenever we were down there early in Orlando, they do a college day and then a Madden day. So I was there for that. I know that there are changes coming to Superstar as well, but I just care about the college side so much more. I'm a college channel. We know this. Okay, in College Football 25, we laid the foundation for a multi-year vision of what Road to Glory could become. It's definitely taken a step forward from last year. They wanted the mode to be fast to fun, highly replayable, so that really goes back to high school, just being able to go through it super quick, though I think there might also be a setting where you can turn high school off. I feel like someone mentioned that you didn't have to play high school if you didn't want to. To this day, I still don't know how to feel about being able to play scenarios in high school. I might actually appreciate the fact that it's a lot quicker than playing full games, especially if I'm blowing out a lot of opponents. That is the one part that I'm really curious to see what the feedback on it is, because I think it could be a very split decision where half the community likes it, half of the community doesn't. It was incredible to see the community response and how much fun players had with characters like Audrey. Did they bring Audrey back? That is important. Getting blocked after sending a bold text. We saw that happen. There were definitely memes that came out of that. In listening to players, a few clear themes emerged. Players wanted a more meaningful recruiting experience. That was definitely needed. Coach trust was a strong foundation for getting on the field. They wanted more tension. We needed that as well. They also saw that we wanted more to chase after we earned the starting job. So that goes back to the decision to make it to where you have to actually earn to unlock more plays, audibles, stuff like that. I'm gonna be honest, you might not be happy that you have full access to the playbook, but I actually appreciate that it's that way because Road to Glory was so dull after you became the starter. What they need to have done though to make sure that Road to Glory is still fun, especially if you don't have an expanded playbook, is making sure that you're not getting suggested the same 2 to 3 plays every single time. That was another big issue they used to have. I can't believe I didn't ask if they worked on that, but I cannot imagine it's the same way that it was last year, especially since they made all those playbook changes. I mean, they're saying we've built directly on the feedback as part of our multi-year vision, so we're just going to trust that and let's get into creation. Road to Glory begins with your first meaningful decision, choosing your star rating. We have already talked about this. You get to choose wherever you start out. 4 distinct points: elite, 5-star, blue chip, 4-star. These are the same as last year. Each offers a unique experience. Your selected star rating sets your attributes and determines whether you begin with an ability tied to your archetype. And so this is important to keep in mind. If you don't finish as a 5-star or a 4-star in high school, going into college, you're going to be in a much worse spot. The ability you start with is determined by your archetype. A pocket passer quarterback begins with step up and dot, while pure runner starts with magician and workhorse. Here we go though. Just because you start as a 5-star doesn't mean you finish as a 2-star, and just because you start as a 2-star doesn't mean you can't climb all the way to 5-star status. So you can really make the jump in just 5 games. I'm going to challenge you all though to play on the hardest difficulty. Play on Heisman. See how hard it is to maintain a top rating because you need to have near perfection to do it. So this is just in the creation of your player. After selecting the star rating, your next major decision is choosing your position and archetype, a choice that defines how you play and schools view your potential. We already talked about this. There's only those 5 positions. In College Football 26, yeah, you can play as just those 5. Each position does have those new, uniquely designed archetypes that they've added. They did completely overhaul it. I mean, that's not a joke. It's not just marketing lingo. They did change every single one of them. For example, halfback now includes 6 archetypes. So I think last year they had 3, 4. The choices don't just shape how you play, they directly affect your recruiting path. Certain schools may be more or less interested in your archetype depending on how well you fit their scheme. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well based on where you want to play. Service academies like Army or Navy are going to be hesitant to pursue a pocket passer because that doesn't fit their offensive system at all. They don't want to completely block you off from schools like that though. It doesn't mean you can't earn their interest. It just means you have to work harder to change minds. So I think that goes back to the trailer where Tennessee was like 1.1x and Texas was 2x. The archetype of the player that they were using in that trailer fit Texas's scheme a lot better than Tennessee's, which is why you have to work twice as hard to earn that scholarship to Tennessee. This is already so much better than last year, just picking the school that you start with and hoping you eventually climb up the depth chart. We have all of those halfback archetypes right there. And what else are we going to get? Next up, we got customizing our player. There's been a lot of people that have been asking for equipment changes. I'm sure they ended up doing at least some. There's no way they could ignore that. And they say start by choosing where you're from. This decision isn't just cosmetic. It directly influences recruiting. Local and in-state schools will show stronger interest, so you should keep that in mind. It'll also take more to earn those offers early from out-of-state schools. Next to your high school name and mascot, you get to select it. There are 6 preset mascots to choose from, each with their own uniforms, colors, and logo. But if you're looking for more control or you want to represent your actual high school, you can take advantage of the Team Builder integration. So this is where down here, you would just change over to your Team Builder school. I think there's somewhere to import it. It can't just be on this screen. But do you know what all of this goes back to? And this is one of my nitpicks with how they've done releases for this game this year. The gameplay, the dynasty, and now the Road to Glory deep dive trailer have not felt like deep dive trailers at all. They've included so much key information that I think a lot of fans would miss. Like if you didn't see me talking about this here or see a tweet about it or something, some of you would never know if you just watched the trailer that you'd be able to use Team Builder and put your high school in the game. I don't know, man. I just feel like these deep dive articles do so much better at summing up the things that they've worked on, they've fixed, and they're so much more transparent. They write the longest things here. I talked about how Team Builder is a lot better this time around as well in the Dynasty video. They put a lot of effort into it so you can design your uniforms, set your stadium. There are generic stadiums this time around, probably because of high school. I have also been warned and told to tell you all, keep in mind, this is still high school football. Do not stack your Team Builder team with 90 overall players. It'll take those 90 overall players as guys that are in college as a 90 overall. Basically, what they did for high school was all the players that are out there on the field are just generic generated 1-star recruits. So you have to keep that in mind overall wise. If you want your team to be very comparable to some of the ones that you're facing, then unless you want to just completely shred your opponents in the scenarios, you don't need to be putting 85, 90, 99 overall players on your team, or else it's going to be way too easy. That's just another thing to keep in mind. You can upload it, then you're able to choose import high school team builder when you start your road to glory. So that's how you can put it on there. I just really wish you could do this for your opponents too. It looks like you'll also be given the option to import the custom roster you created, but if you choose not to, a generic high school roster will be applied to your team. So you could just create your high school team and not even have to worry about creating the roster and hoping that it's not too OP. Once your school is set, it's time to focus on your appearance and style. Choose from body types. The thin one is the only one that I think you should go with if you're a receiver or quarterback, or lean. That's what I meant. Go with the lean one. That looks the best in my opinion. Also, take off those flak jackets. I just don't like how they look. Equip your player with that on-field drip, and then fine-tune how they move on game day. This year, we've expanded our styles and stances system with deeper customization. I did notice this whenever I was playing. You get to choose from over 40 throw styles. I didn't know it was that many. And then you also get to select stuff like how the player runs, carries the ball, lines up pre-snap, whether you're clapping to call for the snap in shotgun or crouching textbook tight under center. These animations will bring your player's personality to life. And this is the screen that you're looking for. So you get to choose between 40 different throw styles. And then you get to also select, if you're a QB, your ball carry style, your run style, your shotgun stance, your under center stance, and then they have some stuff for halfback, receiver, linebacker, and corner too. I will say, if you really get into it, there are some funny stances in here that you can find. There's probably some that are going to remind you of some of your favorite players as well. With your player fully created, your high school selected, and the style locked in, this is where we then get to begin the road to glory. So we're going to talk more about high school. It officially begins with your first media moment, an interview with Alice Zimmer, who's covering your rise as a high school prospect. She asks what motivates you when choosing a college, whether it's academics, championships, playing time, or something else. Your answers will define the programs. So this was in there last year. You basically just get to answer a couple questions, and that will help select what programs want you the most. Once the interview ends, it's time to build up your tape. This is the tape score that I was talking about. The better it is, the more schools will be interested in you. But attention isn't enough. To earn a scholarship offer, your tape score must meet or exceed the standard for that program. So like you would expect, a smaller school, you don't need a very high tape score if you want to get a scholarship offer from them. And for the massive schools, you're going to have a very high tape score. Before we get to that though, they want to discuss how to set up the recruiting board and manage the top schools that are watching your every move. So that's the first thing I think you do before you even play a game. Recruiting is competitive, and like I said, since schools are recruiting like it's a dynasty sim going on in the background, they could be recruiting other guys at your position at the exact same time. I really like that feature. Each school sets a scholarship threshold. To earn an offer, your assessed tape score must meet or exceed it. We just talked about this. A school scholarship threshold isn't static. It's shaped by multiple factors, including their prestige, scheme fit, motivations, proximity to campus, team needs. So all that goes back to how they're doing in their season and who they're recruiting as well. Your answers in scenarios and other off-field decisions are going to make a difference too. To make informed decisions, you can view each school's full evaluation of you from the overview tab on their recruiting board. You'll be able to find your assessed tape score, projected role, current depth chart, so you can see where you'd slot in, and head coach boost and tendencies. Everything you need to understand how that school sees and where you might fit in. From this screen, we're able to see so many different things. We can see their team overall. You can verbal commit to them, but that doesn't lock in until you actually get to signing day. You also see whether or not you have an offer. And then we got the real coaches in the game. So Steve Sarkisian, his career record, what his record is in the year, the scheme that they run. There's extra impacts that he can give, what his tendencies are, where you're going to fit in on the depth chart, your projected role. I mean, all sorts of stuff. I don't know if they're going to show the other screens either, but they showed it during the presentation we sat through. You can scroll over and see the entire recruiting class that Steve Sarkisian is going after. They basically have this recruiting board set up like you're recruiting in Dynasty, except it's all the schools instead of players on this side. You'll be competing for offers against other recruits. That's another part, like I'm talking about. They're doing their recruiting at the same time. So you're competing for offers against other players. If another player commits at your position, your assessed tape score might no longer be enough, making an offer harder to obtain then. There it is. This is what I was talking about here. So you can see the other players that they're targeting. You can manage your board at any time from My Recruitment. You're allowed up to 10 schools on your list, and you can add, remove, or swap them out based on your evolving recruiting picture. You can also reorder your board anytime to keep your priorities in check, so you probably want to reorder based off of where you want to go the most. While you focus on your journey, the world of college football continues to evolve around you. Seniors graduate, new recruits commit, coaches change jobs, and players enter the transfer portal. So this is what I'm talking about, but a lot of people aren't even going to know this unless they read the deep dive or see it from someone like me or someone else. That is such a big deal to me because it affects where you'd end up going in high school. Stay plugged in through the high school hub. Oh, you can also check all the stuff going on in the college world as you're playing through high school too. Over the course of your high school schedule, you'll play 5 games, each made of 4 key moments. We've already kind of talked about this, the 2 basic goals that they're going to have. And then some drives may only feature a singular high stakes goal offering a significant tape score boost if you rise to the occasion as well. All of the moments are built around the type of archetype that you have. So if you select a running quarterback, you're probably going to have more running stuff, and that goes for every position. Schools evaluate these moments differently based on their schemes, so that's why they can range from 1 to 3x. And that's what you're seeing over on this part. When selecting what moments you want to complete, it's critical that you take into account the situation you're walking into. And I really am just curious what your all's feedback and thoughts are on this and how you're going to feel once you actually get to experience it. Because I know a lot of you probably want to just play through full high school games, but this really accelerates the experience and makes it quicker. Like I said, I have no idea where I sit on this right now. I've even told the devs that. I'm like sitting like, I really don't know how I'm going to feel until I get probably multiple Road to Glories in. I only played a couple of games of high school. I didn't even get to experience the college side of things yet. Once you've selected your 4 moments for the week, it's time to take the field, and that's where you'll just get more pop-ups saying these are the things you need to achieve. I have a feeling this probably looks like something you might see in Ultimate Team, wherever you have to complete certain goals if you want to achieve challenges. Am I right on that? It would just make sense for it to be a pretty similar style to that, just because you have all these drive goals, and I know there's certain challenges in Ultimate Team where you have to achieve very specific stuff like this. I guess their way of displaying those key players as well. The rival that I said I didn't like above the head is just saying that those players demand your attention. They're key impact players on the other team. You know, no matter how I feel about some of this stuff in Road to Glory, it's still miles ahead of what we had last year. You get a drive summary breaking down your performance and stuff. All right, team impacts can work for or against you. When scoring a touchdown, it increases your team's chance of winning and provides you with additional tape score. Conversely, throwing an interception, of course, that's going to reduce your tape score. So it's not completely based off of goals, but as you can see down here, scoring a touchdown is only giving you a plus 40. You get plus 200 if you achieve your goal, so it's far more important to complete the goal instead of scoring. That's where I go back to saying the score doesn't really matter, and it feels weird because you're so much more focused on achieving that one main goal. Nothing else matters as much for getting your game tape score as high as possible. It is definitely an interesting system, but the fact that if you play bad enough, you can go from a 5-star to a 2-star, I want to see how quickly you can do it too. I got to do something like that for a video. Your final star rating has major consequences though, so finish out strong. It directly affects the strength of scholarship offers you'll receive, and it determines your starting attributes and abilities. Plus, players who finish as a 4 or 5-star recruit, we already talked about this, they can select an additional mental ability before leaving high school, a final edge earned through performance and consistency. I like that you're able to see where you're sitting at in the state positionally and nationally. I might just want to be the #1 player in the state and throw my guy in Alaska. You'll also encounter high school scenarios, so these scenarios that you enjoyed last year on the college side, they've also brought them over to high school as well with college coaches, classmates, off-field challenges. Coaches can reach out with strong interest, pitching their program, explaining why you're the right fit. They also might tell you why they're no longer recruiting you. That'd be pretty upsetting. You'll also be able to make choices. You can call them out as your current favorite, which increases your chances with that school, but at the cost of lowering other interest from other programs. Every response matters, so that's pretty good right there. This is an example of it. We got Coach Sarkeesian reaching out again, and as you can see, we could thank him. We could put it on social media that he's our top school, and that would shoot Texas's interest up, but everyone else would lose interest, or we could say we've lost interest in them, and then I think everybody else would care more. Then we got Coach Franklin over here saying we don't consider quarterback one of the priorities in this recruiting cycle. I also don't know if we'd be able to offer you an opportunity to play right away. So we're adjusting our recruiting for all guys at your position, not just you. Not saying you can't earn a scholarship here, but I want to be upfront so you can basically just see he's lost interest. I can already see the Audrey situation coming out of this right here. They've put the screenshot. Are you going to homecoming? Oh, I'm going. Who are you going to ask? You know who we're going to be asking here, and most likely getting rejected. I feel like they've definitely found the right balance with those where they don't feel like they're happening too often, but they also have something a little extra immersive that goes into your road to glory. So I hope they nail that again. I liked how it worked last year. In addition to coaches pitching you on their program, some schools will challenge you directly. They've already talked about this. Never mind, this is something I mentioned. It was where if one school specifically wants you to just lock in, it could apply a 6x tape bonus instead of just 3x. It's really risky though, because this is one of your 4 moments where you can't get a school tape score boost for any other schools. It's really just focused on that one. Then there are scholarship offers, and there's actually a lot more depth than you might think to them. They can come with its own tier, bonuses, and risks, so scholarship tiers are dynamic. They can go up and down based on how you're performing, how schools view you, and what's happening in the recruiting world. As your rating climbs, school may upgrade your scholarship offer with better perks, but if it drops, they can also downgrade the offer. I'm not sure if they're going to show all the boosts that you can get based off of those scholarship package offers. I mean, this is just an official offer right here. I'm going to see if I can find a screenshot. All right, so I scrolled down a little bit. I have found it. All of these scholarship bonuses can make a big deal. You could come in with increased starting coach trust, increased skill points to spend more on upgrading your player, and then your academic, your brand, your leadership, your training meter, all of those could also be farther ahead just based off of how many of these these are checked. This is an offer for Arizona State. This is for Oregon. As you can see, each one of those would let you verbally commit, but each one of those schools offers different bonuses. The perks won't apply until you arrive on campus, but they can make a big difference early in your college career. They definitely can. If a school's offered you a scholarship offer, you can view their offer and bonuses in the recruitment tab. So that's the one tab over here we haven't talked about. It's kind of funny. When you look at a smaller school like James Madison, they have like no bonuses for their scholarship offer. If you want to protect and lock in that specific offer they give you for a week, you can verbally commit. It'll lock it in no matter how bad you play, it'll be there. But that also means if you continue to play better, raise your star rating even farther, then their scholarship offer can't increase anymore throughout your high school career. The only way it could is if you decommit, but then if you decommit, they're probably not going to be happy with that as well. If you back out, the tape score threshold required to earn a new offer will just increase. Additionally, the maximum potential bonus with that school will decrease as well, so you probably don't want to decommit from a school unless you really don't plan on going there. And then just because you have an offer doesn't mean that it's safe. Hang on, this is a live recruiting class. If a school signs another player at your position, your standing can fall even after an offer. You know what? It's not fully locked in. I didn't realize this. Poor scenario decisions or slumping performance can cause your value to drop and your offer be revoked completely. What does this go back to though? I want there to be punishment in Road to Glory. I don't want it to be easy, so I'm glad that they've put this in. Then we got senior night. They're talking about that. One last chance to leave it all on the field. This is your capstone moment, a final opportunity to showcase your growth, your tape, and everything you've built. You'll be honored with a special run out. We kind of saw that in the trailer, the flowers in hand, as you celebrate your final home game under the lights. But this night isn't just symbolic, it's also your last chance to manage your schools. Once the game wraps up, you'll need to officially announce your top 3. That's something all recruits normally end up doing. It's a critical decision. These are the 3 that you'll take with yourself into signing day, and that's how you decide the hats that we saw on the table. So you might have 10 schools on your board all year, but you have to eventually get it down to those 3, and then you have to select from the hats one of these 3 schools. The scene is set in your high school gymnasium with hats laid out for each school in your top 3. This is your moment. Want to fake out the crowd? Go ahead, pick up a hat just to put it back down. Want to throw one across the gym for dramatic effect? What did I say? You can do that too. Then you're going to get a committed screen. It looks like they've decided this kid's coming to Oregon. You've chosen your school. It's time to prove that you belong. So everything that we just went through is completely brand new because there was no high school football in Road to Glory last year. I am glad that they brought it. I still don't know how to feel about this scenario thing. You all have to let me know. I've played it, and even after throwing the picks, I've had fun with it. It's been cool to see my rating tank. I'm not sure if I'd even want to play a full game now that I've done the scenarios, but I also kind of miss being able to play the full game and tracking the score, seeing if you can make a state championship, all of that. It's such a weird balance to find, like you can't ever please anybody. You also receive a bonus of 50 skill points when you start any Road to Glory save if you pre-ordered College Football 26. Okay, I was tripping out on that. This is a lot of reading for me to do, especially this time of night. This bonus is separate from your scholarship. It can be disabled, so like the dynasty bonuses as well. Let's see, what are we going to get in college that's different from last year? Each week, you'll take part in 2 main activities. Practice is first, where you're going to earn coach trust. I said that they revamped that, so it actually means a little bit more. And then the weekly agenda, that was also there, but I think they reworked everything because it was way too simple last year. You could basically just be good at everything. I don't think they want that to be possible. You can also spend time with teammates to develop leadership. Balancing these activities effectively will be key to becoming a well-rounded and successful student athlete. What did I say though? Again, it's rebalanced. So you won't be able to maximize everything. So how you manage your time is going to define the type of player that you're going to become. And here we go. They've updated it. You'll now have 5 energy points on a short week, 6 on a regular week, and 7 on a bye week. So it kind of depends what's going on. 1 point for each open day in your schedule. You'll use the energy to spend time across different categories, and each decision you make pushes or pulls the meters in unique ways. This actually makes me sick. I just said this. I said they rebalanced it because that was what one of the devs said to me, and then they're writing it literally right here. They now rise and fall more dynamically based off of your weekly decisions. It's more meaningful. Prioritizing one area might mean sacrificing progress in the other. And so academics is something I'm worried about because if you don't keep that GPA up, you can definitely fail, and then you're going to be suspended. You also might notice a massive gap between scrape by and degrees. So if you want to get a degree, you're going to have to put a lot of effort into it. Flying colors last year, if you have a good enough GPA, you actually graduate early and you don't have to worry about academics as a senior. And there are new off-the-field scenarios and dilemmas as well, which they needed to add. Some of the other ones got stale. You got to mix in some new stuff. Those can also affect the meters. This year, weekly agenda goes a step further. You won't be managing short-term fatigue only. You also have to think about the long-term wear and tear. I pointed that out. Taking care of your body will be essential, whether it's dialing back training, prioritizing recovery, or simply making smarter decisions about your workload. how you manage your physical health plays a direct role in your success. I gotta say, season and career health definitely scares me. I am so glad that there are sliders that can determine how it functions just in case it's bugged, especially at the start. We know that these games normally launch with bugs. In fact, at this point, I feel like whenever I get a game, I'm just bug testing for the first month before they put out like that first major patch. And that's not just sports games. That is literally every game. That seems to be what happened now that they can just throw updates in. They're not just releasing a title and then all of a sudden they can't ever fix anything again like they could 20 years ago. At least when stuff is broken though, they can eventually get updates with it. We know that they did a pretty good job with the title updates last year. I'm just hoping that there's not too many bugs. They're going more into wear and tear here. At the end of each season, your pool replenishes, but not always to the same level. That's for the career wear and tear stuff. In addition to managing your wear and tear week to week, you have to manage your career clock. And again, there's sliders for all this stuff, so if you think it's dropping a little bit too quick, you can probably turn it off completely, or you can just put the slider super low. What does worry me though is I always would go down this training route and just maximize how many skill points I would have. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that anymore, or else your career health will probably take a pretty big hit. We also got NIL deals. Opportunities are a core part as a student athlete. They make a big deal now in college football. They allow you to partner with brands, boost your personal profile, and earn valuable rewards as you build your legacy. This year, we've expanded the system with over 35 new NIL deals, giving you a wider range of partnerships. We've also completely rebalanced the payouts, making deals more meaningful and more rewarding than ever before. Most notably, NIL deals can now pay out skill points, giving you another powerful path to progression. That is actually huge for the NIL side of things. Last year, I would almost say that in Road to Glory, building up your brand and getting NIL deals, you could throw that out the window. It didn't matter at all, but if you can earn skill points from them, that actually gives you a reason to want to care about it. That is a big, small fix right there. Previously, the only clear way to progress your player outside of on-the-field performance was through training, so now we have a reliable option with NIL. It still comes with a cost. The deals require energy, and accepting them means your weekly priorities won't be as prioritized, but the trade-off is worth it most likely. Like right here, we got a 4-week contract for 2 energy up front, just 2 energy for 1 week, and then you get 2 skill points, you get 10,000 followers, and you also get some other bonuses. What a fix that is right there. I can't stress enough how much I just didn't like NIL deals in the last game. This is what we needed though. We needed a more polished Road to Glory, and it seems to actually have gotten that attention this time around. I'm sure it still got attention for the last launch, but this is in a much better spot. I mean, they've added more dilemmas, interactions, all sorts of stuff. Every choice you make on or off the field contributes to this journey. These scenarios don't just fill space, they define your story. So we got Chad here, our classmate, and we can get our academics up just by spending extra energy. You don't have to do it though, you can take that risk. Then we got Coach Trust. It was a great mechanic for getting you onto the field and earning playing time, but once you won the job, there was low risk in losing it unless you became academically ineligible. So players asked for more to chase after earning their role, and this year it's grown into a long-term progression system. Thank you. This is how you end up not getting bored of your Road to Glory file after a little bit. As you earn more of your coach trust, you unlock new abilities on the field, including greater access to the playbook and more control at the line of scrimmage. So we get play swaps, new sets of plays to choose from that aren't there before. We get an increased number of plays. You start with 1 play to choose during play calling and work up to 2 plays, then 3, 6, 9, 15. Looks like you can eventually get full playbook access when you achieve max coach trust. But the fact that you could start with 1 or 2 plays is terrifying. You have to really have like no coach trust for that to be a possibility, I'm guessing. Audibles are also something you can earn alongside hot routes, quarterback protections if you're on offense, defensive adjustments for defense. And so this is what it's going to look like. You only would have that 1 play to run if you don't have any coach trust. Then it slowly unlocks as you progress throughout your career. They've brought back play changes, which is a big deal to me. I'm looking down here at this last bottom part though. I don't see the ability to turn on chew clock. That's a miss. I also didn't see an ability to super sim. That's another thing I wish I could do, because if I'm a quarterback, I just don't want to hand the ball off to my running back and watch that play unfold. Or if you go up by like 42 points, I want to be able to sim to the end of the game. I'm just throwing stuff out there for the community to ask for because it seems like they're listening, at least to most of the feedback. I do think it's really important for them to keep adding depth to Road to Glory, but also keep it simple enough on the surface so it doesn't get too confusing to guys, and I feel like this is about a solid spot for it. You can see all the rewards that we got here as we progress forward. Coach happiness here. I think you're going to see it when I talk about Madden Superstar. I'm going to be blunt with it. There's a feature I'm just not sure how to feel about. I just really like what they've done on the college side. As your coach trust grows, you'll compete in position battles for depth chart spots. That's a given. Coach happiness, I guess there's more about this too. It's a short-term, week-to-week system that reacts to your in-game performance and off-field decisions. So is coach going to be upset if I throw 4 picks? Because if that can make or break my spot on the depth chart, we're in trouble. I say we're in trouble, but another great add to Road to Glory. If you play poorly, even if you have enough coach trust, you should be able to still get benched if you're throwing that many picks or something. At least in my opinion, I think you should be able to. It says if coach happiness gets bad enough, you could be benched or demoted entirely. I'm sure you'd have to play really bad though to get benched. If you've lost your depth chart spot, you'll need to compete in a position battle to earn it back, but your coach won't even consider giving you another shot until happiness rating has returned to neutral. It doesn't matter how good you are or how dominant you are on the field. If you're becoming a distraction to the program or you're not taking care of business, you will quickly fall out of favor with your coach. Good. We needed punishment like this. There are 4 factors that influence this. We got game performance, meters, so I'm guessing like weekly agenda, scenarios, and then practice. Game performance is going to be the biggest driver. Avoid mistakes. Coach is going to be happy if you do that. If you mess up repeatedly, underperform, your player grade at the end of the game isn't good, you're probably not going to stay on the field. I do like that players with a high overall are going to have more room for error though. See, this is where the deep dives are so nice. We get this type of transparency. It's good to know that maybe one bad game isn't going to tank you, but if you stack a couple in a row, you're going to feel the effects of it. They're also going to care about GPA and leadership ratings with the coach happiness. Scenarios make a difference because we know stuff can pop up just from last year's game that could get them upset, like skipping class, getting caught cheating, embarrassing the program. And then we got practice. Coach happiness also changes based on how you perform in weekly practices. Without a medal, you take a loss, but if you do decent, bronze is neutral, silver or gold, you're going to gain some. It's just another little thing to keep your road to glory engaging as you progress through the years. When it's time to suit up, our goal is to make you feel in the moment, and I feel like I showcased that with some of the things I showed in the trailer and then the thing they posted on Twitter. I still really like that feature. The audio felt a little low on parts of it. Maybe you need to just turn some of it up if you want to hear things more. In Florida, you'll touch the Gator head. At Oklahoma, you'll run behind the Sooner schooner. Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm a casual. What is a schooner? Never mind, I've seen this 100 times before in my life. I just didn't realize that the wagon back here was called that. That's pretty neat, you get to run behind that actually. The college traditions are brought to light, you're a part of it. You can pan the camera with the right stick, soaking in the environment and owning the moment. That's where I thought they just didn't do a great job in soaking in the moment. Whoever did that run out that was posted on Twitter, you gotta look up to the fans more. Look up to the sky a little bit more. As you start to cook, your player becomes him. The environment will begin to react to you. You'll see fans holding signs with your name on them. Some will even have your name painted across their chest. Is this slowly teasing back the fact that eventually we can get custom signs back, please? I promise, EA, I'm gonna speak for everybody here. Speaking for everybody, if you just bring back custom signs, nobody, not a single one of us will write anything inappropriate on there. We will be on our best behavior. Just give us custom signs. I have a slight feeling there might be a reason why they're not there, or maybe it is something they're considering. I have no idea. I should have asked about it. Game day is not just about atmosphere though, it's about survival. Each time you step on the field, you'll have to manage wear and tear. So yeah, you don't want to run for 40 carries with a quarterback. You're going to take a bunch of hits. Right here, that's what they've experienced. You have negative effects. We saw this last year. And then we got the per play grading. I don't necessarily love how the grading system worked whenever I played Madden, just because if I complete a pass and then have a receiver run backwards, I lose points. Or here's another example. If I take a sack because my offensive line just doesn't know how to block, I lose points as a quarterback. But what am I supposed to do if in 2 seconds I'm having my face head first in the turf? I don't know. As long as it's balanced pretty well, it's not the worst deal in the world. Getting an A takes consistent execution. If your grade falls to an F, you'll be benched for a quarter, so that's important to keep in mind. When you return, you can start with a D+, one more chance to prove yourself, but if you mess up again, coach will not hesitate to pull you out a second time, so you can get benched by the quarter in a game too. I highly doubt that was possible last year. Just another way to add more depth to every week that you're playing through the season. They don't want it to be stale. At the end of the game, your final grade determines what rewards you'll earn. You can gain followers, XP, coach trust, happiness. I think they've done a really good job with upgrading Road to Glory. I mean, I've talked about the parts I wish were still there, but they've addressed a lot of problems that it had. Progression was another one I wasn't so sure about. It's been reworked, so that's good, to offer a more natural and rewarding sense of growth throughout your career. We increased the number of skill group levels from 10 to 20. This is why it's like that in Dynasty as well. It's so much better this way. Now you don't jump up like 5 overall categories for each stat whenever you upgrade something. You can go up by like 1 to 2 each, and you can spread out your points a little bit better. They've rebalanced upgrade cost at each level, ensuring each investment feels more meaningful and that matches the pace of your career. You can upgrade your player at any time by selecting upgrade player. And this was another thing they've already talked about on the ability side as well. They've reworked that too. So sometimes if you want to get something like Platinum Shifty, it now requires requires 2 stats instead of 1 for you to get it. You're going to be able to purchase those as well in Road to Glory. Every player leaves a legacy with tools to track it. We got the trophy room as well. I'm sure that's what this is all going to be about. We got Scotty OG, the gameplay goat, down here with his little trophy room right there on this screenshot. In total, there are more than 160 of them. And then I'm pretty sure as you break records in Road to Glory, just like Dynasty this year, there should be some pop-ups that tell you that you've broken that record or you've won that award. The awards were already there. We got 14 new authentic awards, so that means some of the awards that were generic last year have now been replaced. And you can now view all your awards and accolades from the player card. This was something that I think was in the game, but it just didn't function well. It's time to go from Friday nights to Sunday, though. It's now going to go over to Madden 26. This is going to have expanded integration between Road to Glory and Madden 26. What does this mean? Your decisions and choices will ultimately shape your journey and your road to glory. That journey doesn't end with college. It's just getting started. Yeah, but doesn't matter much. I don't know. I just felt like on the Madden end of things, once you imported it over last year, I didn't feel like it represented too much of my career, but I also don't play with the sound on, so I don't hear them talking about what I did in college. I really just don't like hearing the announcers. We're about to get over to the stuff that Superstar Mode's going to add, though. Being a college athlete's not easy. That's the experience we set out to replicate. We cannot wait to see the stories you craft and legacy you leave. Honestly, just another shout out to this dev team. They've put in so much effort. Appreciate you all, seriously. I don't know, man. Things are never going to be perfect, but I do just feel like we're being listened to and that we're taking positive steps in the right direction. If with each one of these games, it's not getting an upgrade, that's where we have a problem.
Enhance your NFL draft experience by importing your Road to Glory player into Madden NFL 26's Superstar Mode, giving you a unique opportunity to aim for a top 5 pick.
I'm going to say it real quick. I think that's where Madden has kind of fallen short in recent memory because there were years where stuff just didn't change that.
Your college performance can give you a head start in establishing yourself in the NFL, impacting everything from your draft position to your new sphere of influence. Your football legacy isn't just about how you play on game day. It's about all of the decisions you make and the connections you build along the way. The all-new sphere of influence system places you at the center of a dynamic network of relationships. Every interaction with your sphere of influence presents a meaningful choice that will impact your future. Strong connections can earn you exclusive rewards like...
See, this is where I actually start to get a little bit lost, and where I was talking about, I actually feel like I'm just tripping out. Keep in mind, I've not played through this. I have no idea how it's going to be, and I'm probably going to test it whenever I play Madden 26 for the first time to see what it's actually like, but it just feels so complicated to look at almost. One really good ad, though, a key thing, is you aren't just automatically the starter this time around. You have to actually earn that through your head coach, so you don't just immediately go in and become the starter somewhere. That was always something that made no sense to me. Like, if I got drafted by the Ravens, I'm all of a sudden starting over Lamar.
Like expanding your playbook, improving teammates, and unlocking better responses to media questions to increase your own influence. Every week in the NFL presents players with moments that ultimately determine how their career unfolds. New Game Day Beats presents fresh and authentic NFL narratives that dictate your focus from week to week.
Do you get to play it, though? Like, that's my biggest thing. If they pop up something like Nike's flag football event, I want to be able to actually go to that and see what it's like. Am I alone in that? I feel like I wouldn't be. I enjoyed doing stuff like that during 2K's career mode back on like 2K18. That was stuff I actually liked. I don't know, those shorter cutscenes that you could skip over but you could also play, it just helped me get more immersed.
From week to week. Take on new challenges tailored to your specific career chapter, each with unique gameplay objectives from your coach and gameplay modifiers that raise the stakes.
Heavy snow.
Find an answer to your
That's a good
rival's
part of Madden
heavy
this year.
defensive scheme. Or upset a top seed in a road playoff game.
The gameplay's also a lot more
fun. Go from first
fun.
overall pick to MVP. Or take a tougher path to solidify your football legacy.
Okay, so you can get traded to whoever you want.
MVP bundle today.
See, my thing is I just didn't play Madden Superstar last year, and I don't think I played it on 24 either. I played the early access part, and then I never touched it again. So with that in mind, I don't really have an idea what these changes are going to be and how it's going to affect the mode. Like, is trading new, or could you always select being traded to a specific team? What I know from is them talking through the presentation, saying that they wanted more consequences, and kind of fixing that weekly loop that was super super boring, so that's what they address. Again, a really nice feature is actually being able to start as a backup. I cannot believe that used to just always become the starter. It's weird to me, man. They're also saying the dev team knew that playing as a backup needs to be enjoyable. It has to have a little bit of fun, so maybe they make being a backup more fun than college? I'm really curious to how they do it differently. I feel like being a backup in college isn't the end of the world either. I kind of liked it. They want to make sure you could get mop-up duty in a blowout, so that's nice. Maybe the starter gets banged up and you get a chance to show off. Okay, so they actually have scenarios like that worked in. Turns out trade demands is something new as well, so if you earn enough influence with your agent, you'll have the option to demand a trade. That wasn't there before. Then we have the sphere of influence, and I don't know, dude. Just managing all those relationships with people in a video game like that, I liked the way they had it implemented in 2K. Like I was just saying, I enjoyed it where it was there. But with how it was set up in 26, I don't know. I just wasn't really sold on it when it was presented. I do think I want to try the live events though, because with the gameplay being a lot more fun, 3-on-3 with your friends could be a blast. They're also excited to announce the return of online minigames as well after a 16-year hiatus. Used to have online minigames 16 years ago. Do you all see what the competition of just having a college football game is starting to do to Madden? They're doing stuff that should have been in the game forever. You all see why I'm so thankful and happy with what the college dev team has done for us now, hopefully. I hope you all are starting to see it without me verbally just saying it. I don't know, man. I just have a feeling that there were probably people begging for years just to be able to demand a trade simply in Superstar or not immediately be the starter, and it finally happens the year after college blows Madden out. You want to know why I can stay so positive? Because the game I play the most of has been the really fun one, and I've enjoyed my time with it. But that's going to be it for this Road to Glory Superstar breakdown. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the scenarios. I'm very curious.